What's going on, everyone? This is Dom, and today we're talking about the brand new iPad Pro, and I've spent the last 72 hours with this bad boy, and I'm going to tell you what I think. So this year, Apple had a major redesign with the iPad Pro, and I think that this thing looks absolutely amazing. It's kind of like a mix between the first gen iPad with the flat sides and like an iPhone 5 or 5S, something like that, somewhere in between, but it looks absolutely stunning. It's stupid thin, and I don't know, they really got this one right this time. Probably for Apple, one of the biggest design changes is the fact that they went with a USB Type-C port on the bottom instead of a Lightning connector, and that's absolutely amazing because it opens up a lot of possibilities for the iPad becoming more like a laptop. That's not to say that it's probably ever going to replace one, but it's definitely coming along nicely as far as the different accessories and peripherals that you can potentially use with a USB Type-C port. Of course, we have stereo speakers on this guy, and watching movies or videos on it is absolutely awesome. It sounds great, so there's no really concern there. But one thing you may notice this year with the iPad Pro is that it's missing a home button. There's absolutely no home button. Everything is done with Face ID and gestures, just as we've seen on the iPhone 10, the 10s, and the 10s Max. The iPad Pro is taking that route as well. I do have to mention that one thing I did notice with Face ID was the fact that, if you're holding the iPad in landscape orientation, you have to be careful not to cover up any of the camera sensors at the top because you will block the Face ID from actually recognizing you and unlocking the device. It's not that big of a deal, but if you're gonna hold it in landscape, because the Face ID does work in either orientation, just make sure you're not covering those up. So keeping on the theme of drastic redesigns, the display has had quite the upgrade as well. And as you can see here, we have a near full screen display. I mean, there's still some bezels around the side, but the screen to body ratio is much better than previous generations. And I'm rocking the 11-inch model here, and that guy actually has a resolution of 2388 by 1668. And that's netting at about 264 pixels per inch. The display has a claimed brightness of around 600 nits, and to me it actually seems pretty bright. Everything's very usable. I've actually enjoyed it a lot. It looks fantastic, as Apple displays usually do, but this is not OLED, it is IPS, so definitely keep that in mind, or liquid retina, or whatever Apple wants to call it. Inside of this sucker, we have Apple's A12X Bionic chip, and it's fast. I mean, the whole thing is stupid fast. It's got 4 gigabytes of RAM in it. If you get the higher capacity 1 terabyte model, that bumps up to 6 gigabytes. But for my uses, I think that the amount of RAM and the specs here are fine. So let's talk about performance for a second and how those specifications actually impact the whole thing, because this thing is so fast, and I don't actually think that we'll ever harness the full potential of this iPad Pro, at least with the current set of creative apps or anything like that available. But I think that for a lot of people, I mean, the iPad is starting to shape up to be more of a laptop replacement. For me, it's kind of half and half, but fun fact, I was actually able to edit this entire video on the 2018 iPad Pro. I was using an app called LumaFusion. I imported all the footage, did the color correction, everything from A to Z was done on this iPad Pro, and I was absolutely shocked. So if that gives you an idea of how fast this thing is, the fact that I was able to edit 4K video, export it, and upload it to YouTube right from this iPad, we're living in the future. Along the backside at the bottom, we do have the smart connector, which allows for compatibility with iPad's smart keyboard folio, which is actually pretty cool. I mean, the keys don't feel any different from, let's say, the other previous iPad Pro keyboards that we've had, but I like this one because it does have adjustable angles. It's a little more adjustable than the last one was, which is definitely great for watching movies or even just putting it more upright so you can have a better angle when you're typing, things like that. And I like the case a lot. It really does look nice, and I like that it covers up the entire body, still leaving room for the Apple Pencil to be attached, which is our next point, the redesigned Apple Pencil. Apple really did a good job this year making things make a lot more sense. It doesn't have that stupid plug into the lightning port charging mechanism. Instead, the new Apple Pencil magnetically adheres to the side of the iPad Pro and allows it to wirelessly charge that way, which is a much more elegant solution. And once you attach it for the first time, it actually goes through the pairing process, and then every time you attach it after that, it'll give you the battery level and it'll charge right from the iPad. And speaking of charging right from the iPad, you can now actually charge your iPhone from the iPad. You can just plug in the USB Type-C cable and charge it right up. It's pretty cool. What's really cool is you can actually charge pretty much anything through this as long as you have a compatible cable. I mean, right now I'm charging this OnePlus 6T with the iPad Pro, and it's not going to be the fastest charging in the world, and keep in mind you will deplete the battery of the iPad Pro pretty fast if you're doing this, but it's a nice touch. Before I forget to mention, there is a 12 megapixel camera on the back side of this guy with an aperture of f1.8, and that's cool and all, but I'm really not going to leave any photos here for it because, you know, it's an iPad camera and it's theoretically very similar to what we have on the iPhone XS and XS Max. I mean, the real impressive thing here is the fact that I was able to edit this entire video. I can't get over that fact because I've had trouble with other actual laptops doing this kind of 4K workflow, and the fact that I can do it on the iPad Pro just absolutely blew my mind. I mean, I don't know, let me know what you think about that in the comment section below, because it's insane to be doing this kind of work on a tablet. Who would have ever guessed? I really don't have much else to say about this. I mean, I've only been using it for a few days, but in that time, it has really opened up my mind to the future of like portable devices like this, because I mean, heck, throw Apple's, you know, own processor chips in like 3 years down the road into a MacBook, and these things are gonna fly. I mean, this iPad Pro is great. Everything from the design, the display, the gestures. I mean, of course you can do gaming on it if you want as well. And Apple made some bold claims about Xbox status gaming on here, which we can check out in a different video, and leave this video a thumbs up if you wanna see that in the future. But this iPad experience is absolutely awesome, but I wanna know what you think about this. Drop a comment below, let me know your thoughts, and leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also subscribe for more like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Dom, and I'll catch you in the next video.